What's up, everybody? This is Ace from Ace Corner Talk. Glad I can have everyone's attention. Peace to everyone. Opening my chat. I just want to say thank you to all of the subscribers. Thanks to all of those who are subscribed to Ace Corner Talk. I greatly appreciate it that you are a part of Ace Corner Talk's broadcast for today. Today we're going to talk about, do you know what your teens are doing when you are not around? And in talking about a situation like this, we often want to have a certain level of trust that we put into our kids, and we would want to believe that they're just our perfect little angels. But as we find out, that situation is not what is being depicted, and is not what is the truth. Hey, baby. So with me bringing this topic up, I can only, like I always say, I can only go off of my experiences. What's up, Logic? Peace, bro. I can only go off of my experiences from when I was a childhood, and I can do the comparison between now and then. Like, do the comparison about how, the comparison between the children from my generation and the children of now's generation. And when I talk about this, what's up, George Garcias? When I talk about this situation, I'm going to use different comparisons to kind of give a guideline about where we are now. You know, because when I grew up, the most things that I did that was probably considered, not to say dangerous, but to consider something as far as, out of the normal, that my parents or my mother or father would say, that's out of the normal for you, would be stay out past the curfew when they told me to be in the house. That's probably about as far as I took took my daringness. You feel me? When I took my daringness as a child, I think that's about as far as I did, or might have went out when they told me not to go out when they wasn't in the house. So certain little things I did that, I felt at that particular time was kind of daring and dangerous for me, because my father was very strict, man. If he said don't go down a hill or don't do something, there was consequences if I did. And 9 times out of 10, he wore me out. He wore that backside out. What's up, Shots 5? Peace, bro. So I understand that there was only a certain level of disobedience I was willing to do when it came to my parents and my household. You feel me? So there was only but a certain level of trust at a certain particular age that my parents was willing to put into me, because I was a mischievous child, man. I got scars on both shoulders, my shins, all parts of my body. Like, I was so daring and so I just didn't have no fear or nothing, man. I just did so much stuff and got scars and bruises to show, it's just so much stuff that I can prove and state about how I used to be as a kid, man. And I'm leading up, and I'm setting the tone so I can go right in to today's generation. So, yeah, when we was kids, we didn't really have too much to really worry about, man. Think about the things that the most things we had to worry about. Maybe we had to worry about weed, coming up. We really wasn't thinking about hardcore drugs or thinking about hardcore things. We was thinking about skateboards, riding bikes. How many of y'all used to put a deck of playing cards? You might take a card and take something and pin it to the back of your spokes and make it sound like it was a motorcycle. How many of y'all did that? You know, or cut a plastic bottle and take a clothespin and put on there and make it sound like a motorcycle. It's making a lot of noise. You know, what about the banana seats with the banana handlebars? I mean, those type of things was our reality, you know, when we was young. Like, we didn't really do too much. You know, now, it's like even with the teens having unprotected sex. Like Queen C said, you know, having unprotected sex and things like that. Those things wasn't our reality. The most we might have did was fondled on the babysitter or something like that, or got a kiss from her, or, you know, fondled some of the kids, you know, some of the girls that we used to like and stuff like that when we was in grade school, middle school. We did things like that, but we did not do the hardcore stuff that is being done in this generation. So do you know what your teens are doing behind your back when you're not around? Like, how much level of trust you can put in to your child? Can you actually believe what your child says to you? Like, in this generation, is it too far gone to believe what your child says when you're not around? Because as it is, we would want to say that our children are our perfect angels. You know, me personally, I would want to think my children are just perfect little angels. But the generation and the influences that are out here today, it's hard for me to keep that mindset without a level of unease in my mind and heart, because I know how crazy it is. You know, my wife says we keep our kids very close to us, and we do, because I don't know about some parents, but we like to monitor what our kids do. You know, we monitor where they go. We monitor how they interact out there in the streets, and we do that for a reason, because kids are getting killed by the dozen. You know, before the week is up, you got like 5 or 6 kids popping off, dying, and getting killed, getting shot. Violence. So we personally keep a close tabs on what our kids do and where they go, because we don't want our kids to be part of the statistics that are out there. You feel me? So when I was growing up, we didn't have the rapid murder rate like it is now. You know, although I was in Baltimore, New York didn't really have it. Had its crimes and it had its murders, but you really didn't hear too much of younger kids getting killed. Think about this. You heard about young adults in their 30s and stuff like that, and 40s. That's what you heard when you heard killings and stuff back in the day. You didn't really hear about too many younger kids getting killed. You know, the average teenager done lost 2 or 3 friends in high school due to violence. The average teenager in my city done lost at least 2 to 3 friends per one person in the school. And that's a bad statistic. That's terrible that a teenager has to say, you know what, out of my graduating class, I lost 2 or 3 of the people that were supposed to graduate. That's a sad place and mental place to be in for a teenager. Should be graduating, getting out of school, doing their thing. But it's a bad way to think about those things, man. And Shots Fired said they're out of control and impulsive, and they do not think we know half of what some of the kids are doing. And that's the thing. They try to disguise what they do. See, they think we never been through anything. See, that's the trip and the kick that I get in today's generation. These kids think we were never young. They just think we appeared in our adulthood. Like, we just, poof, we're adults now. You know what I'm saying? They don't take into consideration that we once treaded the same ground that they're treading. And they take for granted that we was in the same shoes that they are in now. Minus the activity or the detriment of the activity. See, some of the kids now, when they speak about the pants, when they speak about the fashions, when they speak about the gold. See, when I was in my teens, I had gold fronts. with my name spelled in it. You know, it cost me a nice whopping grip back in the day. So they think now they got gold in their mouth. That was, you know, they was like, oh, you know, like that's the fashion, man. We used to do that back in the day. You know, certain fads and certain things are just regenerated over and over. But if you let the kids tell the story, they look at us as we old fuddy-duddies and we never been through that and that we never experienced that nor seen that. But that's not the case because half of the stuff coming back out is what we already done and did already. They don't know that. You know? Shots Fired said some parents don't believe until they find their kids on social media accounts. And that right there is true too. You don't know what your kids are actually doing and what they're experiencing until you do a little bit of snooping. I want to know, how many of y'all snoop through your kids' things? Because some people believe, no, let them have their privacy. No, don't go through their things. Don't look through their stuff. Let them have privacy. But it was always in my household, I don't have privacy to a certain degree until I got out. Now, using the bathroom, taking showers, getting dressed, that's privacy. But when it came to if there was a notion that I might be doing something wrong, we got to do a check around. We got to snoop through drawers and look through things, you know? And I think if parents did that more often, they would kind of head off some of the behavior of the kids and head off some of the dangers that could be lurking ahead. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can head off the dangers. Maybe your child is getting bullied and you don't know that. What's up, Being Self? You might not know that your child has a knife in a drawer, ready to take it to school because he's being bullied. But every now and then, if you did a little bit of snooping, you can kind of head some of the behavior off and kind of find out some of this behavior and why they're doing it. But we got to look beyond the surface. This is a motto of mine. There's always the top of the surface, then there's always the bottom, then there's always the root. I like to get down to the root of things to find out why something is occurring. Not it's occurring and how do we fix it, but why did it start in the first place? And I think one of the reasons a lot of kids don't communicate with their parents. See, because kids are scared to communicate these days. They're scared that it might be a harsh penalty for communicating how they really feel. Shut up. Stay in the kid's place. You're talking, you don't talk to me like that when you're expressing yourself, or you don't da-da-da-da. No, sometimes kids will express themselves if they don't feel like you will come against them for giving their opinion about their life or where they are in that particular point in their life. And I think it's very important, parents and people, that if we want to communicate to be able to build a level of trust in our kids, we have to break the walls and the barriers of discomfort that lies between the relationship between daughters and mothers and sons and fathers. Though there's a barrier there. And until we learn how to break those barriers, it's always going to be a level of distrust between parents and kids. Always. Now, you can think your son or daughter is a perfect angel, but I beg to differ because there's so much peer pressure out here and there's so many things they can get involved in. So what happens is all of the peer pressure, all of the things that people get involved in, you know, that the kids get involved in, of course they're not going to come home and tell you. Then you got to think about some of the kids that are out here raising themselves. That's a whole nother topic. Because when you think about kids that raise themselves, they don't have guardians or people who are really interested in what they're doing throughout their day, when they go to bed, what time they come in the house, what they have ate today, if they got clean clothes on, if they're productive or doing something productive. See, those type of things really matter when it comes to kids in their life. Some kids like the structure. Some kids like to get structure. Some kids like to be chastised. Some kids like that sternness. Because when you don't have it, you envy the person or the kid that do have it. There was a certain time in my life when I didn't have my father. I envied, to a certain point, kids who had their father, because I couldn't identify with the connection they had in the relationship because I didn't have it. It was such a hard thing for me to grasp that a father would want to spend time with their son. You understand what I'm saying? Or want to put that amount of time in, because I never had that. I never had the father there, up until a certain point to cheer me on for the good or bad I was doing. You understand what I'm saying? Even with kids, even if they're doing bad, you still have to do a certain level of cheering them on, even through their mistakes. You can't always criticize kids when they make mistakes. Sometimes you have to give them lessons in the mistakes they make. When you do a lot of criticizing, that gives them the point or narrative to look at, is that they can never make a mistake, which is the wrong thing to paint to your children, because stress comes out of it. They think suicidal thoughts. Well, I didn't show my kid, I didn't show my mother or my father or I didn't live up to the standards that my mother and father set for me. So now look at me now. Look at how I am. And Shots Fired says that's because we want structure naturally. Kids do want structure naturally. I don't have everything set up to call in. Let me see. Let me see. This time, because I really wasn't doing a call-in show, but I will allow you to call in and see if my phone is loud enough to pick up. Oh, Logic wants to call in. Man, I should have had an open panel. Well, I actually can have an open panel. But, all right, you can call in. So whoever calls in first, you get the first call, and we'll minimize your call to 2 to 3 minutes or 4 minutes a call until I can get everybody finished. I'll just put you on speakerphone, and we'll go from there. So, y'all got the number. The number is 443-376-8842. So hopefully it'll be loud enough where we can hear you, okay? So if you want to call in, go ahead and call in, and I'll put it on speakerphone to kind of see how loud it's going to be. All right? Now, when we as adults, when we look at our kids, when we begin to, try to show a level of compassion, try to show a level of correction, try to give them a level of sternness, when we do these activities and do these things to help them, we should always be mindful that it's not to be from a negative point of view. Let's try to do it where we are giving them strong criticism and constructive criticism to help them realize the mistakes and show them how they can correct the mistakes. The thing that we do, and I'm the first one to be a partaker of it. I put my hands up. I'm the first one to be a partaker of it. In the past, I wasn't showing them how to do certain things. I was more or less criticizing because of how I didn't have my father to show me certain things and certain ways to do things. Most of the things I did was learning experience to learn what I've learned and occurred. Now, I had a grandmother that was in my corner and a mother that was in my corner to show me certain things, but things that a man should be able to teach and show a son, I didn't learn that from my father. I had to learn that through my experiences, So now, through me having multiple kids, my learning lessons are more efficient in training and teaching my kids now because I got more than one. But my first one was probably a little difficult because it was me in process of learning. You understand? All right, I apologize. All right, call in. You're able to call in now. Number's working, 100% working. No, I got the call, but I had it on mute and I didn't see it because I was talking. So go ahead and call in. Yeah, no doubt. And a lot of our narratives are like that, shots fired. A lot of us that grew up in the 80s and the 90s, we didn't have our parents. Hello? I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, so that number is working. So
Everybody, can you hear what is being said? Hold on, let me turn my phone up just to make sure volumes and everything is loud enough to hear.
on my post that I am thankful and grateful that my teenage boys are still virgins. And somebody commented on my post and said, "You never know." And I commented back and said, "Oh, but I do." And I say that because I know what type of children that I have, and I know what kind of mother that I am. And I'm not saying that I know every single thing that they say, but I pretty much have track of everything that they do. And that's because I hardly let them go places without me. And when they are somewhere without me, it's usually at work, at school, or, if he has one specific thing, and I'm talking about my older teenager that's able to travel by himself. And out of all of my children, I actually trust him the most because he's so much like me. And I actually trust him the most. He isn't that verbal. We do communicate, but I know how to communicate with him the way that he's comfortable communicating with me. And it's through different ways that he communicates with me. But the type of child he is, I know that the minute he encounters sex, the minute that he having a sexual experience, I will know. As a mother, I believe that his whole demeanor, everything changes. Everything will change. Everything changes when a child starts to explore and experience adult things. Their whole demeanor, the way they act, the way they speak to you, the way they interact with you, everything changes. So, and I wasn't a teenager not too long ago myself, and I'll be 35 at the end of this month, and I really feel like in my heart, not saying that my children are innocent, and if it ever crossed their mind, not saying that it hasn't crossed their mind, but to have actually gone through with it, it hasn't happened. And I can say that with the utmost sincerity and confidence. Not that I have 100% confidence in my children. The fact that I snoop, like my husband said, I look through their phones. Only one of them actually have a phone because the other two, I took their phone. And I know, and if they show me that they can't be trusted, then I make that leash a little bit shorter. You know what I'm saying? I make that leash shorter and shorter and shorter, and I take those, and I give you an inch, and you take a mile, and you show that you can't be trusted, then I'll pull it back, and you will not be able to go to places that you want to go. You'll not be able to be with your friends that are having sex, because most of these children that they hang with are probably not virgins. And I know one for fact that's not. Some of them in his school are having babies, already got girls pregnant, already have 2 or 3 baby mothers in high school. So I'm constantly on them because this generation is not the same. This generation is not the same as when I was growing up. And I was sneaky too. But I had morals and I had boundaries. And I had things that I would not do. Yes, I would lie about it. Yeah, I would tell my friends I'm doing all kind of stuff. But I was not telling the truth. I was only saying those things to fit in. But I was actually too scared to really do it. I was too scared to actually do some of the things that they were doing. They could have been lying to me also. I don't know. We could have all been lying.
Right.
but I know for a fact that I wasn't experiencing sex and drugs and all of those things, and I would lie about it just to fit in. So if they're saying that they're doing it, then they're just doing that to just say it. But I know that they are actually not experiencing it. And my other 2 that are 14, they are definitely not out anywhere without me. They'll play outside where I can see them. And, as soon as, they're out too long, I'm looking where y'all at. And children have sex outside. It's crazy. Behind dumpsters and alleys, all of that. So they don't know why I keep a tight leash on them, because they are so sheltered, they don't even have most of the experiences that these other kids experience. They have no clue, because these children have too much idle time. They have too much freedom. And I don't give my boys that much freedom to just do whatever. If they get the freedom, I know where they are, and they're with me, or I'll say this amount of time, that amount of time, this place, that place, I know where you are, get back home, this type of thing. It's always structure, it's always boundaries. And if you do something within that 2 or 3 minutes, Mama gonna know when you get back home.
Right.
That's just simple. That's how I plan to be. I talk to them about it. Different things. But if I feel like it's necessary to have that real sit down, because I have talked to them, periodically through the years, but really not no deep in depth conversations. Only when one of my children tell me somebody's pregnant is when I go into that mode where I gotta, see where their head is, But I really think that this is a serious, serious thing that's going on in our neighborhoods, in our society, in our community. I watch one of the shows on TV, and I'm gonna go. I watch Teen Mom. I've been watching that for a couple of years. I watch Teen Mom 2. And, these are children that started off having children at 16. It started from the show 16 and Pregnant. Then it went to Teen Mom, and then Teen Mom 2, the OGs. So they have all of these different teenagers that have children. Now they're on their 3rd and 4th child on Teen Mom 2. So they've been married. Some of them been married and divorced already in their 20s, not even past 25, and been married and divorced, and married again, and all that kind of stuff, And some of them haven't been married and have 2 and 3 different baby fathers, And it's the society. Why does everybody want to be a baby mother? Why does everybody want to be a baby father? I just don't understand.
Right.
Why is that the thing now? Why is that the thing? You letting your children shack up. That is just crazy. That's insane to me. Why are your children having their girlfriends and boyfriends living at the house with them? And that's just something I will never understand in my life. I don't care what they say. I don't care if the child is homeless, there's shelters out there, it's places the child can go. I don't care. My child is not bringing no little girl up in here. That's not happening. You know, so we have to definitely stay on our children. I constantly pray for my children, and and they want to know why I know certain things. I just know if they're getting off track just a little bit, you know. So that's all I wanted to say. This is a really good topic, and we really don't know every single thing that our children are involved with. It's impossible to know because they go to school without us, they have friends, and they have private conversations. But like I say, I don't know everything he says, but I know 9 times out of 10, he is not experiencing sex. Because the minute that he does, I'm going to know. Just like my mom knew with me, you just have to be in tune with your children.
Right,
and you have to be connected with your children. So I'm going to go on that note.
All right, I appreciate it, babe. Thank you for calling in. But yeah, you're definitely right. You're not going to know everything that your kids are doing, and if you do, count yourself blessed, man, that you do know what your kids are doing. Count it a blessing. I mean, you have to, because in this generation they hide so much stuff that, you know, when things finally come out, it's like such a damaging shock to yourself because you didn't realize they was doing these type of activities and things. Want to say peace to Shots Fired. Peace to T-Duck in the house. Peace to Zeus's Flippy. Boy, you a funny dude, man. You are a comedian. What's up, man? Peace to all of y'all. Thanks for being in the chat. The number to call in is 443-376-8842. I just wanted to elaborate on something that Queen C said. She was saying how she knows that our boys are not promiscuous or using drugs. See, we as parents have to learn how to look at the warning signs that are given to us. See, oftentimes we don't look at the warning signs. When there's warning signs that are given, we have to pay attention to the warning signs that are given to us. And if we pay attention to the warning signs, we can see how our kids might not be doing or might be doing certain things. That's how you catch your kids in the act of doing stuff. You know, if they are promiscuous with drugs, you can tell by the looks of their eyes, by how their actions are. You know the actions are off. You got to pay attention to the body language of your kids. You know, don't take it for granted that your kids are just perfect angels. Look at the body language when they come in. Look how they address you. If they used to addressing you a certain way, then they start switching up how they address you. There's something behind. It's something wrong. There's something behind it. Because if they're used to addressing you a certain way, then and they don't do that, something got to be wrong. So you have to take a closer look at the behaviors of your children, at how your children and how your children maneuver, how your children respond to you, if they're aggressive, all of a sudden when they wasn't, how much pressure or peer pressure they have. They'll give you the warning signs. You just have to be in tune with them enough to see the signs in your kids. You feel me? You have to be in tune enough with the kids to see how they're doing day to day. I know when my kids are stressed. I know when they have a hard day because I know them so well. I can see it on their face. I can see it how they treat each other. You know, I can tell when they tired and fed up with each other because of the things they do. You know, how do you know what your teens are doing when you're not around. You know, I lived with my grandmother at a certain part in time of my life, and man, she hated for me to be on the phone late nights. You know, I had my girlfriend. We was in high school. You know, you want to talk all night and that type of stuff. She wasn't having that, man. Shoot, the most she'll let me talk on it is about 20 minutes tops, maybe 30. Get off my phone bill, so she was strict on the phone bill. She didn't want that phone bill to be sky high. You feel me? So that she didn't play that. If somebody called for me, she'll hand me the phone, rolling eyes. Yeah, it was, man, my grandmother was strict, man. She was strict. And she didn't play no games, you know. Miss Johnson, play no games. We had to abide by what she said, man. We had to abide by what she said. What she said, she meant what she said. She said what she meant, and she meant what she said. That's the saying. And that's basically how we looked at her. If we did something that she didn't like, she would tell us. She had a very expressive mind. She would tell you how she felt in a minute. You know? So, but I had gained a level of respect for my grandmother because that stern grandmother love that she had, it was like she would beat me up and then love me at the same time. And what I mean by beat me up, not physically, but she would give me stern correction. Like the older grandmother, she'd give me that stern correction, but then come right back with some love behind that. And it balanced me out. So I didn't just see only one thing. I didn't just see a bunch of hate or a bunch of disliking what I do. It was some dislike and some likes. Sometimes you got to cheer your children on and tell them what you like in what they're doing in their life, and explain to them you're proud of them for what they're doing. These type of encouragements help them be honest with you. You know, my oldest son is very brutally honest like I am. It didn't take much. If there's something went on in the household or something went down, it didn't take a lot for me to get it out of my son because he's just honest. He really don't have to lie. He'd be like, Dad, I didn't do it. You know, neither did he snitch on his brothers, but he definitely would tell the truth that he didn't do it. You know? And I appreciate that in my son, that I was able, that stress wasn't on my heart and mind when I needed him to tell me the truth. And also laying the belt down work too, the earlier parts, you know. But outside of that, after a certain point, I didn't have to do all of that because my children understood the level of concern I had for them in their life. So they didn't do a whole lot of things to disrespect. You know, they was real with me and I was real with them, you know? What's up, everybody in the chat? What's up, real niggas? Wow, come on, man. Man, y'all gotta get better with that. We ain't gonna be in here banging on each other. Y'all tripping. But so and we talking about our teens. So let's kind of keep that on topic, man, so we can get some better strategies and ideas of how we can help our kids out. But anyway, our kids, when we look at them, they are a reflection of us. That's how our kids are. Our kids are a reflection of who we are. When we see ourselves, we should see ourselves in our kids. If you are effective as a parent, man, you should see yourself, and you should see yourself in them. Because my boys, they slick like me as far as how they dress, how their appearance is. It's right down to the sneakers, right down to they that's how I am, that's how they are, you know? Meticulous about the hair, how the haircut. Come on, Dad, fade me up here, tempt me here. Like, that's how they are. And that's how I am. But it prides me to a certain point to say, you know what? That they watch their father enough and respect me enough to inherit some habits that are positive. Now, I'm not saying that the things like that are bad, but they're taking some of the positive characteristics of me. Not bad. That's why I pride myself on not drinking, smoking, and doing drugs and doing all that. Because if they're picking up so much of the little things that I do, if I did drugs, what you think that would do? They would pick that up. That's why I could say today that my boys don't do drugs. Because they don't see me doing it. See, I can't give them the license to do it. See, people give their children the license to do these things and then tell them not to do it and then think that they're supposed to abide by them just saying don't do it, but watch me do it. What kind of logic is that? What kind of sense is that? If your kids see you do it, you're giving them the free license to do it, even though you are an adult. You can't say, well, I'm an adult, I can do it, but you can't. They're not going to look at it that way. Children don't see it in that light. Children don't see things and don't process it like that. All they see is it's cool enough for my mom and dad to do it, so why it ain't cool enough for me to do it? And even if you explain that it's adult activities, does not mean they're going to listen to you. They're going to be right out there, and the first little joke of that present the first person that presents a cigarette or presents something to them, they'll be puffing on it because they know they seen you do it quite, and that's what you do. So they're going to be on there puffing on cigarette. Stogies, putting them out smoking on stogies. Somebody get off of some weed, they're going to look around, smoke a little joint. That's because they know you do it. But you take the excuses and you take away all of that if you don't do it. You got to live the example first. We got to set the example for our kids so that way we, as the parents, don't give them license to do things that we expect them not to do. So you can't tell them not to have a foul mouth in your house if every 5 minutes you turn around cursing like a sailor. Watch your mouth in my house, but you turning around, F this, F you, F that, eat the effing food, eat F both, back. So how can you tell them not to have foul mouth when you cursing them out just because they won't eat the peas? Or they don't like green beans or spinach. MF will eat the peas and spinach. I made this stuff. This is my house. You're going to sit there all night until blah, 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 blah. So now the first time they curse in your household or curse you out, you mad. But all they hear you do is curse. So how can you get mad with them? You give them the license. Do you know what your teens are doing when you are not around? How many of y'all tried to sneak a girl in the house when you know your mom and them wasn't going to be back for a while? Or sneak a boyfriend in? How many of y'all tried to do that? Yeah, because they don't eat the peas. Huh? How many of y'all try to sneak the next door neighbor, the little girl in the house, you know, when y'all was young, so y'all could fool around? How many of y'all did that? See how y'all could be honest. See? Shame on y'all. Come on, let's tell the truth in here. How many of y'all did that? Shame, shame, shame. Nah, but these things we expect our kids not to do. So we're going to say, but why did you have this girl in the house? Well, you gotta understand curiosity at some point is going to hit the kids as they get into young adults and young teens and stuff. The curiosity is there. And depending on how you shape and mold the curiosity in them, and I'm gonna back up what I mean by that, but depending on how you shape their curiosity is going to paint that narrative of how far they're going to go. How do you approach when you talk to them about sex and having sex and, you know, that birds and the bees talk and all that stuff? Like, are you comfortable approaching them talking about that? Talking about where babies come from and all that at a certain age and all these type of things. You know, do you believe giving them a little bit too much information is harmful, or do you believe giving them this information is going to help them? You know? So, what do you believe in when it comes to telling them about sexual encounters? And when it comes to talking to them about how, you know, how they came here when they at a certain age? I think it's very important that we do talk to them about these particular behaviors that grown-ups do, and talk to them as they get older when they're able to mature and handle these type of activities. Then that should be when they should indulge in it, but not until that point. And then you can go as far as saying, you ain't gonna do it in my house. You gotta do, when you get old enough, you do it when you out of my presence and out of my house. Some people believe in that. You know, STDs are running rampant in our communities. You know, there's a certain part in Baltimore where AIDS in the high school is like, this is like just about out of every 10 kids, 7 of them got HIV. There's one particular, I'm not going to throw the school out there. It's crazy, man. And that's not no lie. I'm not exaggerating or over-exaggerating. I'm telling you the truth. And if you live in Baltimore, you'll know exactly where that high school is. So when we are teaching them about these activities and behaviors, we're doing this for a level or measure of prevention from them doing something that can cause, you know, harm, or that can cause their destiny to be slowed down by what they have done in their life as far as the activities. Like getting an STD can slow them down. That can slow them down, and it's harmful. You know? Having a child at a young age can slow them down and rewrite their destiny. Doing these type of things hinders the growth mentally of your children. If they're having sex before the time. You know, if they're indulging in that behavior that gives them a sense of independence. You know, I'm grown now because I done got a little something. You know, they carry such a independence that it's hard to reach them. What you say goes in one ear and out the other. It's hard to even talk to them, and they listen once they have tasted that other side, like tasted that, you know, the sexual encounter. You know, they think they in love. Oh, I love her. Ooh, she my girlfriend. Oh, she love me. And you trying to coach them and tell them that, man, look, it's not what you think. It's not love. You think you love her, but it's only that puppy love what you experiencing. And it'll fade away, and then 2 weeks later, oh, he loved me, or she loved me. She with the other dude. They sitting together at lunch. They crying. They upset. But you tried to warn them that it's puppy love. See, when they get a little bit, then that's what happens. All that little stuff comes into play, and it alters their mind from seeing the truth or the reality of how it really is. And that's why I think it's important to share some of these things with the kids. Share some of the activities that they should not indulge in until they get of age to be able to understand what they're doing. And they do a lot of this in school. They do teach a lot of this in school. You know, teach certain behaviors in school. Teach how, you know, sex education. You know, how many of y'all had that in school? I don't even know if they still offer that in school. You know, but sex education was a big deal. I used to clown around in sex education, but they still offered it, you know. Really wasn't paying attention to it, but It was what it was. And a lot of times now you see kids that have had sexual encounters at such a young age. It's the normal now. 10 years old is the normal. 9 years old is the normal to have sex now. These behaviors, you know, back in the day, you didn't really start experiencing things till you was in late teens, early 20s. Nowadays, they early 10, 11 years old out there. You know, playing hide and go seek, running around the house, chase the girl, and all that stuff like you know how I used to do when we was little. But we ain't really do nothing too much other than dry hump them and stuff like that. We ain't do no real stuff. You know, grab on them and fondle and grope them a little bit. We groping back and forth. That's it. It wasn't no hard stuff. Nowadays they groping, sleeping with each other, and she'll go around sleeping, running trains on them. They in their teens and early 12 and 13 running trains and stuff. Come on, man. Putting it on Facebook and all that stuff. It's crazy. You know? Go ahead, call in. Shots fired. Shots fired said, hide and go get it. Shots fired. You a fool, man. You are a fool. Yep. That's how, but he being honest, that's how it was, man. Hide and go get it. You know, we would chase the girl around the corner and, you know, we used to fondle and, you know, that's how it was. But now the reality that our kids are even doing this innocent, simple stuff is far out of reach now. They go smoke a blunt, then go around the corner and hit something. I mean, that's what it is now. It ain't no, you know, none of that innocence in what they did or what we did back in the day with the behaviors. Now, as I'm about to smoke a blunt, hit this mile, and about to go get that. And they 12, 13, 14 years old. And that's what it is. And we have to take a deeper look at this, people. We have to take a deeper look at our kids. We have to take a deeper look. We have to take such a stance in our kids' life with no compromising. Now, parents do a lot of compromising because they feel like if they offend their children, that they'll be mad with them, that they won't like them. But it's not about whether your kids like you or not. Now that helps, but it really does not concrete the relationship. I think the parenting relationship should be uncompromisable. Okay, that part. Now, when you get to the friendship part of it, you should have a level of friendship with your children, not to the point where you're so easily persuaded by them batting their eyes or talking to you in a certain tone that will capture your mental. Oh, I love it when my son talk to me like that. He's so sweet. And your daughter, Daddy, can you give me some candy? And then you breaking down, giving them a mouthful of candy and all that crazy stuff. So all I'm saying is, when we address situations, we should address it with no compromising in it. There should be a certain level of no compromising, no relinquishing on that view of how we see it because of the experience we have experienced. Okay, we should not compromise on it. We shouldn't change our view on certain things. Now, certain things you might can see their point of view about it, depending on the nature of it. Now, if it's something that's going to cause them some harm or cause them to go in another direction than the way you're raising them, I think the standard of that particular situation should not be changed. Just because the neighbor kid can do it does not mean you can do it. And that should be explained. Just because the neighbor kid is being raised that way, you got to explain to your kids, I'm not raising you that way. Just because their mother does not check on them or see that they're not doing this particular thing, does not mean I'm not going to do that. or just because you can go halfway across the city and ride the bus and go downtown and go into these different neighborhoods does not mean I'm going to let you go. Just because the parents next door let you do these things, I can't let you do these things. Because it'll be on my conscience if something happened to you while you're going into the neighborhoods, from different neighborhoods with your buddy or your school friend that say, come on in my house, and they live in a dangerous neighborhood and something pops off and you get harmed. I would feel guilty because I gave a certain level of compromising to the situation when I should have just stood my ground and told you no. Y'all crazy, man. Drinking, smoking, pill, popping early. All that stuff, man, is being brought forward now. The average young teenager, man, is so stoned out. I seen, like, I don't know what these brothers had. I was going to buy a chicken box, man. These brothers were so stoned out in there ordering their chicken box, man. These kids were super young, but whatever they was on, they was super stoned. Like, they was, like, taking a long time to order, losing their train of thought. I'm like, man, why? And it hurt me to see them that way. Like, I almost wanted to help the brother order what he wanted. Like, man, come on, brother, man, you want a soda or something, man? What you trying to get? I'm trying to order my food and bounce, man. You gonna remember what you want? Like, it almost was at the tip of my tongue to say something to the little kid, man. But he was so stoned out and so out of touch. Like, what at that age would tell him he wants to get that stoned out? Like, what kind of nightmares is he running away from? Because we know as adults, a lot of people drink their pains away. A lot of people smoke their pains away. A lot of people do these activities to escape from something. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, weed can make you laugh, can make you giggle. It can, you might think you do things that a certain way when you're high with all that stuff like that. But when you that stoned out, where it's a little more than weed, what in your mind is so damaging to you that you have to get to that point? That's why I say communication is always going to be the key when it comes down. Communication and non-compromising with your kids is going to be the key when it comes down to helping them avoid some of these dangers. Now, don't be so stiff on your kids where they're scared to ask you if they can go to the dance and enjoy themselves. Don't take the enjoyment out of their life. Don't take the enjoyment from your kids to do certain things in life. Like, Dad, can I go to the dance? Can I get a suit to go to the dance? Can I do this? I mean, not that type of. Don't take all of that from them. Don't be so fearful of taking everything, because you want you want your kids to still experience a certain level of childhood. You want them to experience a certain level of childhood and to be able to have fun. You want them to experience childhood and being a child. Don't take every single thing away, but just monitor and be careful and aware of what the kids do. That's the difference. You got to monitor and be aware. You can let them do things, but just don't give them so much leadway and so much trust and faith in them that it's out of sight or out of mind that they cannot do a certain particular thing. You just have to be aware, snoop, do whatever you got to do to stay close and up front in their face, even though they don't like it. There ain't no slamming doors in my household. If I say leave your door open, you leave your door open. You don't close the door. There's certain things I demand if I say it, because it's my house, my rules, and you got to abide by it. And that's it. There ain't no compromising in that. When you get old enough to be out from under my roof, then that's exactly when you do what you want to do. But I'm giving you the essentials of basic living and basic mental construction to help you move as a young adult into adulthood. We have to learn how to help our children transition from childhood to adulthood. And that's what a lot of parents are not doing today. They're not helping their kids properly transition from one phase of their life to the next phase of their life. And that's why a lot of the kids nowadays are having a hard time finding out who they are and how to maneuver in life, because they have not learned how to transition from one particular phase to the next particular phase in their life. And I believe once you learn how to teach your kids how to gradually transition into young adulthood to adulthood, I believe they'll be well-rounded, and then for this society, they'll be well-rounded and effective in the society they're going to live in. I believe it wholeheartedly. But if you don't help your kids transition, they're going to seek and pull on things that might not be good for their blueprint in their life. They might seek something from the streets. They might seek something from another parent that might not be living the standards that you live. Why they keep going over to their favorite friend house? How are their parents living? And what do they let them do while they're over there? See, you got to look at these things. Why you want to keep going to little Johnny's house every 5 minutes? What little Johnny and them doing over there that you want to go over there so much? See, you got to ask these questions. Maybe little Johnny and the mother letting them sip on a little beer. Or maybe Johnny and the little mother want to sip on a little, smoke a little weed. You don't know. So you have to ask these questions. You have to be more upfront in their face, asking them the questions about what they're doing, who they involved with, who's the little friend that's I never recognize him. Who's that new little friend right there? Where he from? You got to ask these things. What does mom do? What does dad do? Where you live at? What's his address number? Huh? Don't be scared to ask what the address number is these days. Because you don't know. Your son or daughter come up missing. You want to know who he was with and how to contact the young child that he left your house with. Come on, people. Let's get smart. Let's be smarter than this. Don't be scared to ask him who the little boy is right there, dressed real nice with Jordans on. Maybe his mother's a dope dealer or father's a dope dealer, and he going over there. They come to your house dressed flyer than you are. You want to know who the parents are and what they do. Maybe they some dope dealers, and your son is in their house. Come on, people. Think. Think smarter than that. Monitor your kids. Police what they do. Police who's in their life. Police the friends they have. Stay up on top of that stuff. You know? Stay up on top of that. It's nothing wrong with asking them who the little friend is or who that person is. Nothing wrong with that. Don't think you should feel ashamed because, or let them make you feel ashamed because you asking them who the little nappy head boy that's right there, or who the little nappy head girl that's right there. You want to know how often her parents are out of the household. Why you hang around a little girl too tough? I mean, come on. You want to know these things. You know? Sometimes parents, they put that trust and give their children so much leeway that when something begins to happen in the life, now they go through a whole period of grieving if something happened because they know they could have been a better parent, or they know they could have did things different to help their children stay out of harm's way. And I know I'm telling you the truth. The Bible says, teach your children in the way they should go, and they will never depart from the word. They'll never depart. Give them principles. Give them structure. You know, my kids ain't scared to throw a suit and a tie on. They'll do it with the quickness and pop the collar. They fly because I wear suit and ties. They're not scared or ashamed. They don't have to wear sneakers year-round long. They'll throw some dress shoes on, throw a button up in a tie and keep it moving and look fly doing it. They ain't scared to do it because they see me pop my collar with my ties, dress shoes, and keep it moving. They see Pops do it, so they ain't scared to do it. You know? Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with showing them that. Although I got sneakers galore, But I also have a balance. I got dress shoes too. And when it's time for me to go do some things that I might need to throw on a dress shirt, a dress shoe, I do it. Sometimes I just feel like throwing a dress shirt on and some dress slack to go out. Start my day. Just doesn't have to be pants and jeans and stuff all day long, year round. It might be comfortable, but sometimes I just like to get out of that way of thinking. You know? So, what we do at home, how we train our kids, how we maneuver when it comes to rearing our kids is very, very important, y'all. Very important. Shots Fired says some of the kids don't want to wear a suit, but cool with walking around with their as out, AZZ. But you understand what we're talking about. And that's true. Pants hanging down with dirty drawers showing. But I paint the picture to my kids that it's okay to wear a button up every now and then and look fly doing it. You know? I don't try to show or paint a narrative to my kids that it's not cool to do it. Cause it is cool to wear a tie and button up. But I always teach kids in my life that I know, my neighborhood, and my own kids, there should be a balance. In everything you do, there should be a balance. Everything. Every single thing, there should be a balance. And if you teach your kids that life is about balancing, and about adjustments, they'll be the best kids you will ever want. Teach your kids about how to balance their life and how to adjust into their and adjust to their life. Because your life, my life, not just kids, adults' life is about adjustments, making the proper adjustments. That's what your life is about, people. Grown-ups, adults. That's what my life is about. Learning how to adjust. That's the mass majority of your life, is learning how to adjust in your life. And if you can teach your kids how to properly adjust to situations, they're going to be the best kids and the well-roundedest kids you will ever want. Because you're teaching them that even though adversity comes, even though things might go wrong, learn how to adjust to it. In my Jewish voice, aha. You got to teach them that. You know? You right, Shots Fired. He says it's important to get dressed up every now and then. And I can honestly say there is a feeling you get when you have a suit on, which is true. Suits encourage children, T-Duck says, suits encourage children to think that they are about business, not play, which is true. You can respect a man that has a suit on. It's like a certain aura they give off when they dressed up with a suit. Because not the average man doesn't think about wearing suits unless that's something that was put in them to do. Think about that. You ain't going to just normally get up and just say, I want to wear a suit, unless it was something that was put in you that was a good thing to do, or that it's cool to do. Right? You know? Teaching our children self-respect, teaching them self-respect about themselves, how to be morally built up in their minds and their hearts, teaching them these things and teaching them how to, have that respect about themselves, you're doing them a great justice. You're doing them a great justice when you teach them how to stand up with pride in their hearts about who they are and about the type of individuals they want to be. Giving them that encouragement, that stern encouragement about being different and about being who they are. Teach my kids you don't have to follow the narrative of the kids up the street. Be who you're going to be. Be the individual God created you to be, whatever that is. Be strong. Be mentally strong. Be ready to deal with adversity. Be able to adjust, and your life will be fine. How many of y'all seen Fences? I felt sorry, for the young dude in Fences, the way Denzel depicted the character and how he dealt with his son. Like it kind of like was a messed up situation, but on the other hand, he was a real jerk. But on the other hand, he was giving him the basics that he needed to survive. But it was a messed up situation, though. Teaching them how to survive on these streets and teaching them how to be a book smart is enough to be a successful citizen in a legal way, in the legal way, which Shot Fire says we have to teach our children. So that's what Shot Fire said, and it's true. Teach them both. Teach them both. I teach my kids how to be street smart because I was in the streets, and I could teach them these things. That's why when they was little, I had them in mixed martial arts and boxing, so they know how to handle themselves. They know how to put that work in. They know how to put the work in when it's time to get their business taken care of. Don't be chunked down by no kids out there or no bullies. If you got to put that work in, put them hands on them if need be. Don't be the aggressor. You know what I'm saying? Defend yourself and do what you got to do. And I taught them that. You run up on my kids, man, you got a problem, man. You're going to have something on your hands. My boys is tough. They tough because I had them at 3 and 4 years old. When I was doing my mixed martial arts and doing my boxing, I had them right there watching me at the dojo, watching me at the boxing gym, watching me spar, watching me do. I had them right there. So now, when it come time to do their thing, and I seen my boys in action, boys don't play. Them boys don't play. It gets busy. And I'm glad that I had enough fortitude and mental stability to say I want to teach them something. Some fathers not even around to teach them kids how to do that. How to teach them how to box. How to teach them how to get some discipline in their life to defend themselves and not be the aggressor. But if it hits your doorstep, you handle your business like a man and not run away. I got a 5 foot, no, 6 foot, I think it's 6 foot or 5 foot punching bag. I got all my wraps from when I, was boxing. I got all of the hand wraps and all my gloves. I even got sparring gear. I got all of that stuff. My mixed martial art gear, I got all of that. I got everything. And then I get them out there and give them that work. Me and my son was out there not that long ago, and I was giving him that work. You think I was hitting him lightly? I was giving him that work. I want him to feel what it feels like to be in a scrap. Not that he haven't, but like I was giving him the work. He caught me real good. But I had to give him that work as the father. I had to show him, how to take a punch and how to give it. I pushed that work in with them, man. I pushed that work in with them. I pushed that work in with my kids. And I showed them how. Assalam, what's up, brother? About to take my gloves off, no doubt. What's good, man? Good to see you, bro. Showing them how to put the work in. That's why I do that stuff. I do those type of activities with them because I have to have them keep a constant mind of being well-rounded, right? I got to have my boys be in a constant state of mind to be well-rounded. not just be one mind track. I had to teach them how to have different skills to match or to meet them at the very place they need their business to be met. You know, I do the construction, have to teach them how to do that. So when it's time to work on their own house, they can do that. Teaching them how to box, because I boxed, so to show them how to defend themselves. Teaching them how to cook, like my wife teaching them how to cook. So they know how to cook for themselves. They ain't got to depend on little Susie or little Becky or whoever. You know what I'm saying? I said a lot of white names, didn't I? Well, anyway, Jaquisha and anybody else, whatever. You catch my drift. Teach them how to cook for themselves when they got a chick that don't cook. They can just go in and whip up their own stuff. See, it's important to teach them these things, man. It's important to teach your kids a lot of different things so that way when they get older, they have something to reach for in their mind. Other coaches teach their kids these things. Chinese are some of the brilliantest kids out there. They got so much they can do. They teach them a lot. And that's what I do with my kids. But the topic is for today, and what we did elaborate on and speak about was, do you know what your teens are doing when you are not around? That's what we was talking about, and that's one of the questions that I posed to the listening viewers out there and those who are in the chat. Do you really know what your kids doing when you're not around? How much trust do you have in them? Where is the level of trust you have in them to uphold what you say? You better not have no girls in my bed when I ain't here. I said that like a Baltimorean, didn't I? When I ain't here. When I'm not home. When I'm not here. Huh? Don't you have nobody in my house when I'm not home. When I leave, when I get back from work, better not be nobody in my house. Soon as you leave, they got a house party. You know what I'm saying? They house partying now. How much level of trust can you put in your kids, or do you have in your kids? Morse World TV, peace. I thought you was going live today, bro. I don't know. If you go live, I'll be checking in. To how much trust do you put into your kids? How much do you give your kids? How much leadway do you give your kids when it comes to different things? Is your word is your bond, and is your bond is your word when it comes to your kids? Or are you the type of parent that just let any narrative go? I mean, come on. We got to talk about these things because they're very relevant in this society we live in. The average black family, and I wish I had these statistics, but the average black family, somebody get to Googling. Somebody get to Googling. Where my Googling niggas at? Google. But my average kids that are out here, no doubt. The average kid out here, they're learning experiences from the streets, right? But how much of the lessons are they learning home? Because they're going to get a certain amount of lessons out there in the street. Don't think that everything you saying and doing in the house is just going to be their narrative. That's crazy to think that. That's crazy to think that your kids is just going to get every single thing from you. No, they're watching and learning a certain amount from the streets. But it's just depending on how you taught them to receive what's out there is depending on how they're going to react to what they're learning from out there. Did y'all catch that? Come on, man. Did y'all catch that one? Did you catch what I just said? Depending on depending on how you taught them is going to depend on how much they receive out there. Because they are getting things out there. They're getting a lot of different perspectives and a lot of different things they can be involved in, negative or positive, but it depends on how you taught them to receive it. And if you're teaching them how to properly receive the positive things that are out there on the street, when the negative things come to oppose the positive, they're not going to flock to it. Come on, somebody. I'm not preaching to you, but I'm just trying to give you another way to look at it. You know, I just said something right there. Because what happens is we are so gullible to think that when we teach our kids that what we say is going to go for in the house and out of the house. Not so. What we say for in the house is daddy's rules in the house. But when they get out there, it's all fair and game. Because they're not in our house, we can't see what they're doing, and they're not in our atmosphere. They're out there on the streets, and they're out there in the school getting different influences and different people that are appealing to them. So hopefully the things that we give them and some of the knowledge and some of the experience we share with them, they'll have enough wisdom and enough smarts to hold on to it while they're out there in the streets being influenced by the streets. Because don't get it twisted, there's a lot of things out there that are being offered to our kids and a lot of things that are appealing to them. But is the desire and what's being appealed to them stronger than the voice and the influence you have on them to not go down that road? That's what you need to ask yourself. How much of a voice you have in their ear. Sometimes they should be able to hear your voice when it comes to certain things. They should be able to hear daddy voice or hear mommy voice. Remember what you said. So when they're out there, I know I want to do it, but I remember what my father said. I can't do that. I can't do it. I'm sorry. I just won't do it. It's sad to hear a 50 or 60-year-old say they got turned out at the age of 11 and 12 from crack. And I've heard that experience not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4. Try about 7 or 8 times. I heard people in their 50s and 60s say they was turned out by drugs when they was 11 and 12 years old. Crack. I'm not talking about that weed and stuff like that. I'm talking about straight crack. And got turned out from an older person, giving them crack at that age. Then starting off from 10 and 11 smoking weed, then went to the harder stuff. It's a sad thing to hear older people talk about how they was influenced by certain drugs. That narrative is not so common when it was back in those days, but they do have those statistics. But now, it's so common now to see the average 10 or 11-year-old on Molly's or a 15 or 16-year-old heroin and stuff like that. It's more common now than ever. The average kid that's walking by you is either influenced by some lean, Molly's, bath salt, blue, red, dolphins. It's so much out there now. So many different, synthetic. Should I go crystal? Should I go on? It's so much they're influenced by now. And they're getting younger and younger. Bigger brother leaving his stash in the house and they tapping into it. T-Dot says hard work over instinct gratification is critical for children's development, which is true. All I do for my kids, my family, I look to get some type of appreciation. So I'm not out here working hard, and I'm not out here giving lessons to my kids for my benefit, for my health. I'm doing it because I know when I'm long gone, when I go to meet my fate, that whatever I left behind, whether positive or good, it should be able to have a strong influence in their life. Should now. Should. But I pray it do. I pray when I leave that my boys can uphold and continue some positive, somebody need to uphold the name. Somebody got to carry the last name on with pride, knowing that it wasn't tainted down the line. Somebody got to do that. And I pray that what I've taught them and the things that, that I've experienced and shared with them, that they can carry the torch, carry the last name with pride, not shaming or not doing something that would shame the family, but just upholding that torch. That's what I'm proud of myself for, man. And that's what I intend to do. And I have been doing it. I think I'm doing a very good job. Got some good boys. Good boys. Good boys. You feel me? So I'm going to end this live stream. It's time to eat. This is Ace from Ace Corner Talk. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for dropping by. Thank you for building with Ace. I want to talk to Aces in the Hole. I appreciate everything that y'all contribute to the panel. Aces in the Hole, y'all much appreciated. Love all you guys. Love the energy. Love the input that you put in. I want to say thank you to T-Duck, Shots Fired, Queen C. I want to say thank you to Zeus's Flippy. Dude is very funny. I want to say thank you to Logic Food, Clothing, and Shelter. And if you have not subscribed to Logic, go subscribe to my main man, Logic Food, Clothing, and Shelter. I want to say peace to everyone that came by Ace's Corner Talk. You guys are the best. Hello? Nothing much on live stream. About to end. Okay, so I'll give you a call in a few seconds, ending this live stream. And I wanted to say, straight out from California, Los Angeles, California, I want to say peace to Mama Sonia. Peace to you. So, everyone, I thank you for being a part of Ace's Corner Talk again. Much appreciated. Much love goes out to you. Morris World TV, I appreciate you, big brother. Thank you for stopping by Ace's Corner Talk. You know, I got to lay it down to go to work, but I'm going to try to catch some of your live stream and be active and involved. I love the support. If you haven't found that out, you sure will see that. I am a supporter of those who support Ace, so thank you much for coming through, brother. We will build. Trust me, I promise we will build. You know, sometimes with your job and things that we got going on, it's kind of hard to kind of get a consistent time where we can just actually sit down and chop things up. But I think in the near couple of days, I'll have a little bit more time. And hopefully we can go catch something to eat and go and build, all right? That's the type of brother I am. We can go build, chop it up, and see what kind of things we could do, you know, to help each other out if we could, all right? So that's where I'm at with that. So everybody, peace and love to you. Thank you for just sharing a small part of your day and taking the time out of your life, your busy life, to stop by Ace's Corner Talk. Ace graciously appreciates it. This is news at Ace's News Corner. I just threw that in there. Nah, I just appreciate everybody, man. Love you guys. And be tuning in. Might have something tomorrow or might take a day off. Just depends on how I feel. But if so, thank you for stopping by. See you on the next occasion. We out. Peace.